All right, welcome
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
To,
Yeah.
welcome everyone to your first summer camp C++ class. So Stella will be taking your class today. So Stella, why don't you take over from here?
Yes. Yeah. Good evening. So I'll be mainly going through the basics. You would need to explore stuff on your own to, get proficient in C++. But yeah, I'll just get you into this. And I'll just assume that you don't have any prior programming language, prior programming experience. So yes, let's get started. So also, by the way, I should say this. You might want to get into competitive programming, which is very, very prestigious. You need it in college and stuff too. And you can also go to contests if you're like, you have contests on Code Forces, Code Chef, and you also have inter-school contests. And you might also be knowing about the IOI Olympiads. So you have ZCO, ZIO. So you need to do competitive programming there, and for that you need C++ because no other language is allowed there. So yeah, and also C++ is very fast. For Python, you'll very frequently run into time limit exceeded errors like that. So yes. So first we'll cover the data types. In C++, we have int, char, bool, float, double, and void data types. I'll be showing you each of these. Also, just write in the chat how many of you, know if you all know any other language. So it'll just be easier for me to relate. Mhm. Okay, Avrudik knows Java. Arka is familiar with Python, Rust, Golang, JavaScript, Bash scripting. Good. So you all do know some stuff. And the rest of you all, even if you all don't know, it's completely fine since I'll be going over the basics. Okay, so I'll just start. Okay. So as I said, you have data types, right? You have integer, which basically stores numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 without any exponential or decimal part. So int a is equals to 5, say 4. So you're storing an integer here basically. And then you have Boolean. So you have true and false values. Also, say you have 0. So 0 is considered to be a falsy value, and all other numbers are considered to be true values. And then you have character. You write characters using single quotes. So say Z. So these, and also double. So double is for numbers with decimal or fractional part. Say 7.5. And also you have float, but double has higher precision than float. So you can, I think, with float, you can store numbers up to 1 decimal point precision. And for here, you have up to 2. And then you can basically, these are the data types you'll be using the most. And these are primitive data types. Also, like please do ask questions, like unmute yourselves and ask if you have any doubts and any questions. This is supposed to be interactive.
I got a question.
Yeah, go on.
What's the use of using namespace std?
Yeah, I'll be coming to those, but since you asked, so if you don't using namespace std, you'll have to do this for output. You'll have to write this for every time you output some, use the cout or cin objects. Okay, so the namespace std has these objects, cin, cout, and even vectors, I think. So basically, in order to avoid this tedious thingy, you include this at the top of your program. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. And also, do not use this. Use this header file, so you don't have to include all the, this basically includes all the libraries for you, and you don't have to do it individually. And also you don't need to focus more on this part. I'll be focusing more on the logic and implementation part. So if you have any questions in those.
Stella,
let me
some people have sent a few questions in chat. Can you?
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I missed this one, right? We were talking about this thing. That was a typo. Or Brody. Unmute yourselves, like. Sorry. That was a typo. Yeah, capital 2 is for some other languages. Okay. So yeah, you're getting the integer, the boolean, the character, the float, and double. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to include the. Okay, so yeah. So yes, and void is, you won't be using void. You'll be mainly using void for when we teach you functions. It's empty, it does not store any value. And so do you have any questions in this part? Huh? That is string. And I'll be coming to string later on. So I just showed you the primitive data types for now. Okay, Avrudeep? String is for next session. Okay, so I'm assuming you don't have any more questions. I'll move on. Yeah, so basically what I showed, you have this as an example: integer, float, double, character, boolean. And yes, now which I was doing this earlier, and someone asked about the using namespace thingy. 1 second. Yeah. So I was using this, right? So this is for output, cout. So in Java, you have println or print, things like that. And in Python, you have print. So in C++, you have cout and you have cin for input. Cin, and say you're taking, let me just delete this part. Say you have A and you need to input value here. Yeah. Okay, I did not give an input, sorry. Also, yeah, since this came up, say you are, say you don't give any input. So what C++ will do is it will give you a garbage value. This is the garbage value that I got. I should give an input now, right? Yeah, so I gave 4 as input, and got stored in this variable A, and then I printed it here. So any questions? Also, you can take multiple values as input. You may have A, B, C here, and then you can do. Sorry. Yeah, so I gave 3 values as input, and those 3 values got stored in the variables A, B, and C respectively, and then I printed them. So what it does is it looks for the next for the space, and it extracts the value before the space. So 4 and then 5 in B and 6 in C.
I
End
got a
1.
question.
Yeah, go on.
What's the usage of the endl you wrote after every value?
Yeah, and then so what suppose you don't give this thing, right? Suppose I delete this part. So you get 4 and 5 without any partition between them, like you don't get them in separate lines. So endl is for getting the output in separate lines. You could also use
A
the escape
backslash n.
character. Yeah, where's the cursor? Yeah, so you could also use the escape character backslash n. Yeah, basically what you said, but it's easier to type endl instead of that. And I suppose this is faster than endl, but yeah, it doesn't really matter that much. So anything else? So this or endl? Clear, right? Who was it? Avriti? Okay, so I'm assuming you don't have any more doubts in this part.
Why we are using that namespace std part?
Okay, suppose you don't include this part, right? What you have to do every time is every time you use C in or C out, you'll have to do this. Because the standard namespace contains the objects C in, C out. So if you don't use this, write this in the beginning, you'll have to write it like this. So in order to avoid this, we do this.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, sorry. In comparative programming, you will come across many problems where you won't know the number of the number of inputs you have to take. Say, like there could be several numbers here, right? And you cannot like do this. So, in fact, you know what? Like this is a bit more complicated. So I'll skip this for now. I'll come to this later. You need to get the basics straight first. So I'll move on to the next part. This I'll show you at the end of the session. Okay. If else. So this is common in every programming language. You have if, then the condition, and then the statement. So if you have Yeah. So I gave a value of 5, and this is the condition. So if a is greater than 5, then execute the statement. And you could use if in the just if, or you could also include an else statement here. So suppose it is not greater than 5, greater than 0, then print no. So, let me change this value. So yeah, it gave me no. So this is pretty basic and you should not have any doubts in this part. But if you do, please, yeah, 1 second, let me check the chat. If we were to input strings instead of integers in this program, yeah, if we were to input strings instead of integers, we would use getLine. I did not want to show you that in the first class because you don't know strings yet. So when I cover strings, I'll get to that part. But you need to use getLine for that. I'll just show you since you asked. Okay, I think it was this CN. Yeah, so it took this string as input and printed it. Okay.
What is the use of the sin word?
Sin is for taking input. It is
Okay.
input string. Yeah. So like, do you know, like for Java, if you know Java, you use print or printf, right? Println, right? And for
Yeah.
Python, you use print. So basically in C++, you use sin.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And what it does is like in general, but for you can use getLine to get the entire syntax. So what for getLine, it looks for the new line character at the end of the string. So this has a new line character here. If I say give a different sentence after this, so it will not. It's only printing the first line, right? It's not printing the second line because there's a new line character at the end of this. It takes only the characters up to the new line character. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. So this, I'll go over the details in the next class again. Let me just get back to what I was showing you all. So this part is clear, right? The if-else construct. Yeah, then so I'll move on to loops. We have
I
three
have a
types of
question.
loops. Okay, yeah.
Doesn't the main function need to return something like return 0? That's the normal.
It's not, no, it's not compulsory. Like you might ignore that part.
Okay.
For main function, so it's running, right? It's not showing any errors. You could write return 0 here, but it's not necessary. It will run anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, and for this structure here, the return type first and then the name of the function, this will govern the functions part in the next sessions. Okay, so just focus on the code inside for now. So yeah, so loops. So if you for loops, let's say I'm showing you the for loop first. So yeah, so what's this is the initialization part. This is the checking part, and this is the updation part. So for loop has three parts: initialization, checking, and updation. So first we are giving I a value of 0, and then we are checking if I is less than or equal to 5. It is. If this is true, it will enter the loop and print hello. Then again, it will go to the next iteration. It will go here basically, and I plus plus. So the value of I is now 1. 1 is less than equals to 5, print hello. So this will go on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it will reach 5. It will print hello. And then when it goes to 6, this condition will give false, right? 6 is not less than or equal to 5. So it will not enter the loop, like it will exit the loop. So you get hello 6 times, 0 to 5. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, okay? This part is clear. This might be a bit confusing. So if you have any questions. No. Say I have
This will be printed 6 times, right?
yeah.
Okay.
From 0 to 5, yes. Say I give some other value here. How many times will hello be printed? Hello.
Anyone?
Times.
6 times, yes, right. So this was pretty easy, right? And this is by the way, if you do not understand this is the increment operator, which we'll be covering later. But what increment does is like it increases the value of the variable by 1. And you have decrement 2, which decreases it by 1. I'll be going over this again later. Okay, so for loop is done, and you could write the same thing in a different way. You could use while loop. So let me comment this out. Yeah. So you could do this.
While Stella writes the code, I'll let you know that it's perfectly okay to ask questions. There's no need to feel shy here. Everyone is here to learn. All right. So feel free
Yeah.
to ask any questions. There are no dumb questions.
Exactly. Yeah. So in while loop, you have to keep this in mind that you have to update this. Like you have to give an updation statement here. If you do not change the value of this, you'll get an infinite loop, which I did a few seconds ago. So yeah, so it's the same thing as the for loop, but we are writing it in a different way. So first, we are giving I a value of 5, and while I is less than or equal to 10, print hello. And then we are updating the value of I, increasing it by 1. When I reaches 10, the execution will stop. Okay. So while is here, right? The do while is very similar, but just a bit more tricky, I'll say. Shit. Yes. So what it does is it's the same thing, but it checks the condition after executing the statement. here we were checking the condition, and if the condition is true, we were printing this. But here, even if the condition is not true, you will get hello printed at least once. Like, let me change this thing. Okay, so what happens is first you get 5. So 5 is not equals to 6, right? So it should technically not execute this, but it does because it first executes this and then checks the condition. All right, so first it executes this, and then the value of I is updated to 6. And then again it checks this is true, and then it enters the loop again and prints this. So you have so you have hello printed 2 times. Like, is this part clear? Because this is a bit tricky. This can be confusing. Say like you have 4 here, so it should not print hello even once, right? Since I is not no, semicolon.
Main function brackets.
Yeah. So technically it should not print hello even once, but what do while does is it executes the statement first and then checks the condition. Okay.
And why don't we increment first before printing it?
Huh?
Like I
Increment
plus
before-
plus, we can do it.
Yeah, you
before
could do
the
that too. Like, that does not matter. If you increment before printing it, the same thing is going to happen. It
yeah,
does not
same.
matter. Anything else? Just keep it in mind that while checks the condition and then enters the loop, do executes the statement first at least once, and then it checks the condition. So even if it does not satisfy the condition, your statements will be executed at least once. Okay.
Where is this do while loop used? It's the rarest occasion where it is used.
See, it depends on the programmer, right? Like, you might like using do while, you could use that. Like, I use do while for some programs. It depends on you. You could achieve the same thing using while do, sure. But you could use do while do. Also, like, if you want, suppose you want to do something at least once, even if the condition does not satisfy, then you would use do while, right?
But
It
in
depends on
which
the problem.
program
Like,
is such a
that
situation?
depends on the problem here. Like, that depends on the problem. When you do CP, if there is a program like that, you might need it. Okay, I mean, sure, this thing can be achieved without using do while do, but since it's in the curriculum, I should teach you, and you should know about it. Okay.
It's like very rare that you'll ever have to use do while, but good to know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so no other questions? What about the others? There are many people in this meeting. You all don't have any questions?
No, it's clear.
Cool. So, suppose so this is sort of a tricky question, and this includes something that I haven't taught you yet, but could you try answering this? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I have taught you this. Go on. What's the answer?
Six, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Acha. Say, acha, Nana, I'll cover this later. So this part is done. I guess you're clear about this. Then we've covered loops. I will move on to the next part. While loop done. Yes. This part is pretty basic, right? You have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You should know this. And modulo is, you know what modulo is? It gives you the remainder. Say you 5 say you do you can tell me what the answer to this will be?
2.
Yeah, it's very simple. So I'm just in case if someone doesn't know. Yeah. So this is simple. Then you have the operators is done. Equal to, this is a single equal to is assignment operator. You're assigning some value to the value of B to A. And you have plus equal to, okay, I'm showing you this. These are shortcut operators. Say you want to add A and B, you could do, say you want to add the value of B to A, you could do A is equals to A plus B, right? What you could also write this as A plus equals to B. The same thing, but you're writing it in a different way. Less work. Okay. So let's see. Similarly, you have A minus equals to B. Okay, this will be confusing. Let's just do it one at a time. Yeah, so first it prints the value of A, which is 5 plus 7, 12. And then you have B, which is 7. Simple enough. Similarly, we have the A minus equal to, which is A is equals to A minus B. You have the multiplication one. And then you have the division one. And am I missing out anything? Yeah, and the modulo one too. So I'm going slow today because this is your first session and also because I'm assuming that some of you do not know programming at all. So this is for everyone. Do you have any questions? This part is clear, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Then you have relational operators. So, this you must be knowing. So it checks whether A is equal to B. So it prints 0 here because, as I said, 0 is
False.
false. Yeah, false C value. Also, yeah, you can use the other relational operators too. Greater than equal.
While using double equal to, it checks for the type as well. Like it compares the type of like it checks for the type of the values as well.
So
if
do you know JavaScript?
yes, I do.
Yeah, the double equal to and triple equal to part, right? So yes, no. So in C++, as far as I remember, it will give you an error if you try to compare values with two different data types.
Okay.
Okay. So you have greater than equal to, which will again print false. 0, yes, and then you have less than equal to, same thing, less than equal to, greater than equal to, and also not equals to. So this should give true. So it will check if A is not equal to B. Right. Simple enough. Any questions?
During the interconversion of data types, that is from integer to double or something like that, which are the default ones and which are the manually we have to do that? Which are the ones? Like in Java, from
Okay, so you're talking about okay, yeah, yes, Java again. Yeah, so you in Java you have explicit type conversion and implicit type conversion.
yes, exactly.
Okay, let's see.
Are those the
Say
same
you
here as well?
not exactly, like I think in Java you can, as far as I remember, I haven't done Java for a long time. Acha, in Java you can convert character to integer too, right?
Character to integer and
No, I
character to
don't think you
string
can do
as
that
well.
in Java.
But
That character to string is possible, obviously, but the integer part I'm not sure. In
maybe you
here,
should do ASCII codes. That means
yes, yeah,
similar ASCII codes.
exactly. Yeah. So yes, you don't need to. So when you're converting from a smaller data type to a larger data type, you don't need to do the type conversion, I guess. But let's see if you do 5.5. Okay, now so in Java, in C++, I think you can do conversion between numeric data types. Like even double can be converted to int. Yes. So okay, so this part gets truncated when you're converting it to int. Okay.
It doesn't get
This is
rounded off, right?
No, it does not get rounded off, but it ignores the part after the decimal point. It gets truncated.
Yes.
So it does not matter even if you give 5.7, it will still give 5. So these things, right? You will just get the hang of it after experimenting and stuff. You don't have to, theoretically remember this. As you program, you run into a lot of errors and you just realize what works and what does not.
Is there at all too much of a difference between Java and C++? Because I couldn't find much of a difference in today's
I mean, yeah, this basic syntax is obviously will be similar. But
minor differences are still there, but overall there's no difference.
Most paradigms are similar between Java and
Only Python and JavaScript is a bit different, where you don't, it's dynamically typed, so you don't have to initialize, write the data types in the beginning. So yes, I think C,
That's
C++,
the reason
Java.
TypeScript exists.
Yes, in C, C++, Java, they all, as far as I remember, they all have similar syntaxes. So yeah, if you know Java, this shouldn't be too big of a difficulty for you. You might face difficulty later in pointers and stuff, but we'll not be covering in this session. Okay, so no questions, no more questions here. No? Okay. Yes, this is also, this should be, so when you're, let's see, let's use the if-else statement again. If A is and Achha, yes. So 5 is not, so it checks, it only executes this statement if both the statements are correct. So and if this and this is true, then it will execute this. So A is greater than 0, true, but A is not equal to B, right? So it does not execute this. So if we put say A is not equal to B, then both of these will be true, and it will print yes. Yeah. Say you put OR here and you do this. So here the first one is true, but the second one is false. But it will still print yes, because it only one of the statements needs to be correct when you use OR, but both of them need to be correct when you use and. This is also pretty basic. And I've already shown you this operator, I think. So you could do note A. Yeah, so not A. So A is true. It's a true value, right? 5, it's greater than 0. So if it's true, so it checks if A is not true. Since A is true, it does not execute the statement. Suppose you give A a value of 0 and then you execute this, you'll get yes. So it checks if a statement is an expression, if an expression is not true. Okay. This is a word, ternary operator. Ternary is like if-else statement, but just easier to write. So say sorry, 1 second.
Good evening.
Sorry. One. Yeah. So 6 is this part, if this condition is true, then it executes this, else it executes this. So after the colon, you have the else part, and after the question mark, you have the if, like the statements in the if part, right? So in the if else construct, you would write this as if 6 is greater than 7, then cout.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, actually I had swimming class, ma'am. I did not know that today class is there at 8 o'clock, ma'am. So, ma'am, I just joined now, ma'am. Could you explain me what happened from starting?
Yeah, I'll just I'll give you a recap, and also you don't need to worry about it because this session is being recorded and it will be available on YouTube, I think. You'll
Yes,
get to
we
know,
will.
but
Yes.
yeah, this is being recorded.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And also, if you need a recap, I'll just go over what all I've taught till now.
Ma'am, could you show the recap, please?
Yeah, 1 second.
Ma'am, there's Adrika, ma'am.
Okay, hi Adrika. So yeah, I taught them data types. So you have int, character, boolean, float. Also, do you have any prior programming experience, Adrika?
Yeah, ma'am. I had a programming experience in HTML. Like I've prepared a web page too for DPS.
Okay. Acha, that is not coding, but okay. Do you like know Java or C++ or Python or anything? Python, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So there you should, okay, you don't use data types in Python, my bad. Okay, never mind. So I went through these data types, which should be pretty easy to understand. You have integer for numbers, character for characters, boolean for, you should like watch the recording, but I'll show you what all I've done till now. Okay. Since I have a lot to cover and I cannot go over the entire thing again. You can just watch the recording, okay? So data types. 1 second. Yeah. Basic input output, sin, cout. And if else, this is pretty similar to Python. If else, just the syntax is different. You have loops.
Yes, ma'am.
You have the while loop, do while, and the for loop. Operators also should be known to you. Yeah, relational operators. Yes. And you have ternary operator. Acha, this you might not know the ternary operator, but I'm teaching it now. I'll just show it to you again. Okay. So you know if else, right? So in if else, what happens is if 6 is greater than 7. Let me comment this out. Yeah, so what happened? The same thing happened here, right? So 6 is not greater than 7. So this part is being printed. In ternary operators, what you do is you let me give some spaces here. It looks kind of congested. So yeah, so this is a condition. It checks the condition. If this condition is true, it executes the statement as after the question mark. So it will store this value in A, and if it is false, then it will store 0 in A. So the value after this colon. Okay. So this, but we're doing this in one line. In short. Clear? Is this clear to all the rest of you? Adrika is clear, I guess. No questions?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, over here, 6 is greater than 7, question mark, 1. What is the requirement of 1 and 0 over here? Like, why is 1 or 0 given over here?
See, what are we doing here? So if 6 is greater than 7, then you are storing 1 in A. And if it's not greater than 7, then you're storing 0 in A, right? This is what we're doing in this part. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're writing the same thing, but in short. So if 6 is greater than 7, store 1 in A, else store 0 in A. Okay, like
ma'am.
we could instead of int, I could do bool here, and I'll do yes and no and okay. So I think it should be easier to understand now. Okay, what happened? Adjustment. 1 second, sorry for that. What happened here? Oh, I'm sorry. This is Boolean, so it should be true and false here. That I was storing the string values. I'm sorry. This should work now. So 0 is a false value, and 1 is for true. So when this is so this is not true. So you're getting 0. Okay. I was
Yeah, ma'am.
doing I was trying to put string values in a Boolean value earlier, which was a very stupid thing to do. Anyway, so
Wait. Stella, could you go back to the previous code once? The one with yes, no.
what?
Can you go back to the code with yes, no instead of true and false?
Actually, yes, that has to be string. This
No,
part
like
has to be.
just control Z, just control Z. No, don't change that. Don't change that. Keep
That
that.
was wrong.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like make those yes and no. Keep that bool and make that yes and no. Right. Run this.
It.
Right. So as you can see, this prints 1, right? But does anyone here, like, can someone tell me that why does it print 1? It's okay. Just, it's not a problem if you're wrong. Just try. Prihargo?
Boolean values store by default a true value, and one is a true.
Okay, good try, but no, Boolean values are by default not true, right? Okay, anyone else? It's okay. It's okay. Just tell me whatever comes to mind. Maybe it has something to do with truthy and falsy values. Think around that maybe.
1 is supposed to be a truthy value.
Right. That is what it prints. That means A is true, right? But why is it true? Prithviraj said that you said that 1 is a truth value, right? You're absolutely correct on that. But thing is here, you see, it compares 6 and 7, right? And if 6 is greater than 7, it puts yes into A. And if 6 is not less than 7, which it is not, in fact, so it tries to put no into A, right? And Stella told you guys about truthy and falsy values, right? So in this case, 0, as 0 is a falsy value and any other number is a truthy value. Similarly, since these are strings, these are non-zero, that's why these are truthy values, because of which it prints 1. Or that.
Suppose, acha.
This should print 0.
Print, okay. Yeah. So if it's a string, you are putting some value there. So it's giving, yeah. So for 0 and void, it gives falsy values, I guess. Those are the falsy values, right? Yeah.
Since string isn't equal to Boolean, that's the reason.
No.
No, so I told you about, so,
Go on, go on.
okay, yeah. So I told you about falsy and truthy values, right? So if zero is a falsy value and any other number is a truthy value. Similarly, string for string, so it's not empty, right? It is a string. So when you're trying to put something in a variable, and if it like if it's a string, it will give it is a truthy value. String is a truthy value, even if it's empty. So for truthy values, you'll get 1, and for falsy values, you'll get 0. That is what Atom said, right?
Yes. Anything which is a 0 is a falsy value, and anything which is not 0 is a truthy value.
Yes. So this part is clear, I guess. Okay. So 1 second. So I have taught you this part. So this is done, and then you have acha, this part I'm not going to teach you today because I did teach you a lot today and you need to practice them. I'll give you some assignments which you need to do. Since I've taught you for loop, you could try one that I'm giving right now. You could try it at home and send us the answers. And also I'll be giving you some other assignments. Please, I'll be giving them on both WhatsApp and Discord, but it's preferable if you are interact with people on Discord. So what you could try for today is, since I've taught you for loops, you could try printing just right. So this, but this should be based on input, based on the input. So based on the number of lines. So if they give you 4 lines as input, this will get printed. If you get 5 lines, then this. Okay. The question is clear, right? You have to print this pattern based on the input. Hello.
Is anything stated
Yes.
about which loop to be used?
No, you can use whichever loop you want.
Okay.
And anything else?
Could you please explain how to do like this kind of like assignments?
Acha, way to practice, like the platform.
No, not the platform, like how to do it. Basically, how to do the question.
Are you asking me about the IDE? Like this,
I'm
I'm using JDoodle.
About the coding, like how to code this. Because since I was in the class, I just saw that true or false value, that true is equal to 1 and false is equal to 2.
Okay, so you need to go over the recording where I've taught you the loops, right? Since you know Python, this should not be too difficult for you. Like you have the if for loop, while loop, and do while loop, right? A for loop is initialization, condition, application, like int I is equals to. I'll go over for loop once again for you. you can you understand what happened here? So we initialize the value of I with 0, and we execute this as long as I is less than or equal to 5. And this is the updation part. So like the value of I gets increased by 1. So in every iteration, first what happens is first I is equals to 0 and I is less than or equals to 5 is true, right? So this will get printed. After this is printed, we'll go to the next iteration. So this will be executed I plus plus. So the value of I will increase by 1. The value of I is now 1. 1 is still less than or equal to 5. So this will be printed again. And then this will go on until I is equals to 5. When I is equals to 5 and you have I plus plus, the value of I is now 6. So 6 is not less than or equal to 5. So the execution will stop. So it's printing the values of I from 0 to 5. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am, this is clear, ma'am. Just like count in Python.
Count in Python? Yeah. No, count is for a specific purse, right? Like
no.
I'm telling you what it's like. So you have for I in range 10, right? Range for this, how you would write this in Python is for I in range 6. 6. So, and then you would give an indentation here and print I. This is what you would do, right, in Python?
Yes, ma'am.
So in Python, it will print the values of I from 0 to 5. We are doing this in C++ like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this part is clear, right?
The function is the same thing.
Yeah, the function is the same. The syntax is different.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have to like update the value of I every time, right? Python does it for you, but you need to do it here. You need to have a condition as well as an updation statement.
Can
as
you
well
just
as an
show the
initialization.
input statement once?
Scene 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So yes. So whatever you type here, it will get stored in A. Okay. Now put is similar. Okay. And Adrika, so you must be knowing the basics since you know Python, and just go over the recording for the syntax thing, because I cannot take the entire class again, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And also for this, you all might need to use nested loops. So make sure of that. I'll show you one example of how to use a nested loop. But it's better if you research this on your own and try to figure it out. It'll help more in this journey.
Also, while you're doing the assignment or any of the future projects, right? If you run into any problems, you can always ask questions in the Discord channel for C++. And that is why I ask you to, actually join the Discord. Even if you don't have a Discord account, it's totally free. You can make a Discord account and join. So, if you have any questions, you can always ask there. We're always there, willing to help. And if someone doesn't help, or you say, for this example, Stella told you about nested loops, so which is like research based. Okay, whenever we give you something like that, we ask you to research on something, always Google. Never feel shy to Google, right? You don't learn programming overnight, nor do you remember syntax that easily without experience. So for that, you will always have to Google initially, but the syntax will come with more and more practice and time. Right? So don't feel bad about Googling, but don't Google the answer. That is, please. Google just syntax. Yes.
Acha, I know I haven't this might be a bit difficult for now, but you could try. Can you tell me what the solution to this is gonna be? I'll just delete this part. Yeah. Just write it in the chat if you're uncomfortable speaking, though you should not be.
Will it again come like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
You're partly correct. Like, tell me the output. What output are you getting? Remember, I have question mark here. So this is the thing that's getting printed. Tell me the format in which question marks are going to be printed. Yes. I'll give you all 2 minutes, I guess, for this. Oh. So, do you all have so we have Vidhi with an answer. Very good. The rest of you can try too, because it does not matter if you're utter complete, like say utter bullshit. It does not matter. You can have wrong answers. This is just the first session and you're beginning to program. It's absolutely fine if what you say does not make any sense. Avruti, what did you send me? Is this a like I'm asking the solution to this particular code?
Oh, okay. Just a second.
And this, whatever you send, you can send me on Discord. Okay. I think you send me the solution of the assignment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can send that to me on Discord.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm taking it. The rest of you all don't have any answers. Priyargo.
This will be a square of 6 by 6 printing question mark.
Yes. Vidhi made a mistake here. I'll tell you what happened. What Vidhi did is, so you did a triangle sort of thingy. Acha, wait, Vidhi, did you send me the solution? You sent me the solution of this code, right? The one that I've written right now. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Acha, so Alex, what you did is not right, because I don't want to say the answer right now because this is supposed to be an assignment. But since one of you have done it and I have run it, I'll explain to you. So what first happens is, first the value of I is 0. So when the value of I is 0, you're running j from 0 to 5. And then you're printing this. So question mark would be printed 6 times. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the, right now, the value of j is 6 and the value of I is 0. So imagine I's are the rows and J's are the columns. Okay. So for the first row, when I is equals to 0, you're printing the J's, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to the next row when I is equals to 1. Then again, you're printing this question mark 6 times. Then you're going, then the value of I is updated to 2. So this will go on. So there are 6 rows, right? From 0 to 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for each row, you're printing the question mark 6 times from 0 to 5. Are you getting it? Vidhi?
Yes, ma'am.
It's clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this, it's okay if you don't understand this right now. I'll be going over this again in the next session after you do the assignments. It's kind of hard to explain right now without a proper diagram kind of thing, which I will do in the next session. For now, you are correct. Very good. What was your name? Avrudeep. Very good. I'll send a couple of assignments. You all do that and send it on Discord or WhatsApp, whichever you're comfortable in. And then we can go over this again in next session.
Should I type this solution to this one there?
No,
This
not this
star
one. You
one.
don't need to. Not this one. The previous one. This one.
Yes, this one.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
am I supposed to send this?
On Discord. Okay, wait. I'll announce something. Okay. And also, for the rest of you who haven't been, who weren't able to solve this, you need to run this and execute this on your own. Okay, so you can do that. I'll share the link for this online IDE, JDoodle.
I'm
It's
doing
very
there only. I've seen
okay.
the URL.
Okay, 1 second. So for the rest of you all who don't know which ID to use or don't already use VS Code or Sublime or whatever, so you can use this online ID JDoodle, and yeah, so basically you have input here and output here. You can execute. You've seen me do it throughout the session. Try this on your own. Try running this particular program. I'll share it in chat.
I have run the code I have written for this asterisk one. Should I send
Yes,
it?
very good. The asterisk one, yes. Okay, wait. You have done it. Keep it with you. I will put out an announcement in the CPP channel where to submit. You can submit it there. Just wait for now. Okay,
Okay.
Avrudeep.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So yes, this is the code. Okay, so I'll be ending the session in a few minutes. Do you all have any questions regarding anything, the die camp or this session in particular or anything?
Ma'am, I had a doubt, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, every day at this time we'll be having our class, ma'am. Because ma'am, I use mobile data, so I do not get the notifications when the class is.
No. This timing is not fixed. I have some. You'll be informed, but okay. Won't you be able to see the announcement channel on Discord? Are you in Discord?
No, ma'am, I did not join the Discord. I do not have the Discord.
A Discord. Acha, you could install it because even later on, if you join the club and stuff, it'll be easier to interact with everyone and make friends and make projects with them and stuff like that. So I would advise you to install that. And for now, you're there in the WhatsApp group.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there, ma'am. But the problem is I have mobile data, so I do not receive the quick notifications.
You will be informed in the.
We'll announce the time of the class at least a day or two before the class actually happens.
Yeah.
We'll try to at least.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we'll do that. Any more questions, Adrika, or the rest of you? Just type yes or no in the chat. If
I'll watch the recording, and if I have any doubts, ma'am, I'll convey it surely to you, ma'am.
Yes, anytime. You can do that. And guys, interact in the Discord channels. Make friends. So no more doubts?
No, ma'am.
I'm extremely confused if the Discord channel is a formal one or unofficial type. So
What's your name?
General is
Aubrey.
general is supposed to be mostly informal, and the formal part is the entire like CPP channels that there are, like CPP general that is supposed to be formal, and general is supposed to be informal. So yeah,
Try to be respectful and don't start abusing.
yeah, and
Yes.
just even if general is
Just be
formal,
nice.
Just be
Yeah.
try
nice
to be
to people,
nice and
yes.
all
Yeah,
interact with us. because-
have fun and be nice to people. That's
yeah,
it.
just interact with us all, because see, we are not taking it that much formally and stuff. Just be nice with us and stay fun. Because
Just try not to offend anyone and say, yeah, be respectful.
And yeah, don't offend anyone, because it happens.
Okay.
So yeah.
And for those referring to us as sir and ma'am, we are not teachers. We are
Yeah,
11
Yes,
exactly.
please do not
students.
refer to us as sir and ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just refer to
I'm
us by
Stella.
our
So
names,
yeah,
Discord names or whatever. We don't really
yeah,
care
I'm
about it.
Stella, and the one speaking right now is Arundo, and the one who is going to be teaching
Other one
CPT
is,
with me is
Achishman.
Achishman. Yeah,
So,
just refer to us by our names.
even Discord tags work in case name pronunciation is a problem, which happens with me. So yeah.
Just anything works.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just sir and ma'am seems a bit weird. So
Yeah, and just don't be shy. Like even today's
Yeah, like
today's
actually
class,
interact with
barely
us
any
all
of you all
because-
spoke. So
yeah, like interact with us all, because see, we are not
If
taking
I'm not
stuff
wrong,
that
you are from
formally.
12M, right?
But yeah, we are all in 12.
Hi.
Yep,
Yes.
we are in 12.
Your I can see your
Yeah,
it is
12S.
written
Yeah, I know.
12S.
Yep. We are in
Yeah.
12. Two of us are in 12, some of us are in 11, and Pritish, you are 10.
no,
no
everyone is
one's
in
in
11 or 12.
11, okay. Yeah, then everyone is in 11 and 12.
I am
So,
from
yeah.
12. 12R.
From 10.
Oh, you're from, yeah, I know you, I think. Pretty sure. So, yeah. Just be informal and all. We'll try to interact with you all too. So don't act too formal, because it seems not that fun. It's a summer camp after all.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
We're here to have fun.
Yes. Okay, so I'll end the session 9:25. No more questions? Last call.
No.
Okay, good. So yeah, you all can talk in the last 2 minutes. Talk with each other. I don't know.
Yeah, you all can get to know each other and stuff. Because we ourselves are pretty much informal as it gets.
And anyone, if anyone wants to leave, you all
Yeah,
can leave
that's
too.
fine.
And if you all want to stay
Because-
back for 2 minutes and interact, you can do that too.
Yeah, the session's basically over, I think.
Yeah.
So